My name is Helen Winfrey. I'm 31 years old. 6 years ago, on Christmas Eve, my father stood in front of 22 relatives, read my twin sister's Yale acceptance letter like a victory speech, then held up my community college transcript and said, "This is what failure looks like." I walked out that night and never looked back. Last month, my sister Rebecca found me at my office. She was shaking, holding her Yale diploma ripped clean in half, and a folder of old emails. She didn't say much at first. She just looked at me and said, "Everything we thought we knew about that night was a lie." They thought they knew which daughter succeeded and which one failed. They were wrong. This is what happened when the golden child brought the truth to the scapegoat. Before I tell you what was really inside that folder of emails and what my sister said next, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe. But only if you've ever been compared, judged, or made to feel like you weren't enough in your own family. Drop your location and the local time where you're listening from right now in the comments. I want to know who's sitting with me tonight as this story unfolds. Now, let's go back to Christmas Eve, 2019. I was 24 years old, standing in my parents' living room with a glass of red wine I hadn't touched, watching my father arrange his leather armchair in the center of the room like a throne. 22 relatives filled the space: aunts, uncles, cousins, people I'd known my whole life. The energy felt different that night. Formal. Staged. My twin sister Rebecca sat rigid on the sofa, hands clasped so tight her knuckles were white. She wouldn't look at me. That should have been my first warning. I'd arrived late, deliberately. I knew something was planned. My father had called 3 times that week insisting I attend, which wasn't like him. Usually he preferred I didn't show up to family events. Made things simpler. But he'd been insistent this time, and my mother's voice on the second call had that particular tremor that meant, "Please don't make this harder." So I came. I set my coat on the rack by the door and noticed the photo on the mantel. New frame, prominent placement. Rebecca at Yale's campus during her tour, smiling in front of some historic building. The frame looked expensive. Everything in my parents' house looked expensive, but this was different. This was deliberate. "Helen, you're late," my father said, not looking at me. "Everyone's been waiting. Take a seat. Over there, by the window." The chair he pointed to was isolated, far from the warmth of the fireplace, away from the tight cluster of family. I sat down anyway. I was good at sitting in the designated failure spot. My father stood at his throne, adjusted his reading glasses, and called for attention with the kind of voice he used in his Columbia University lectures. Everyone went quiet. Cousin Jeremy set down his drink. Aunt Patricia stopped mid-conversation. Even the children sensed something important was happening. "I want to share something with this family tonight," my father began. "It's about the difference between reaching for greatness and settling for comfort. About the choices that define us." He paused. Let that sink in. "Rebecca, would you stand?" My sister stood. She looked like she might be sick. My father reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a letter. Not just any letter. A Yale acceptance letter, carefully preserved in a protective sleeve. The paper had been laminated. I could see it from across the room, catching the light. He'd preserved it like a holy relic. "I'm going to read this aloud," he said, "because I want this family to understand what excellence looks like." And then he read it. The entire letter. Not a summary. Every single word. "Dear Ms. Winfrey, it is with great pleasure that we offer you admission to the Yale School of Public Policy, class of 2020. His voice carried across the room, savoring each phrase. People clapped at intervals. My mother dabbed her eyes with a tissue. Rebecca's smile looked like it was carved into her face with a knife. I gripped my wine glass tighter and tried to look happy for my sister. Tried to be the person who could celebrate someone else's achievement without feeling the weight of comparison crushing me into the expensive Persian rug. But my father wasn't done. "You hear that?" he said, looking directly at me while still addressing the room. "Great pleasure." Because Rebecca understood what it takes. She understood that success requires sacrifice, commitment. She didn't take the easy path. The easy path. I knew what was coming. He reached into his jacket again and pulled out another laminated document. This one I recognized immediately. My transcript from Portland Community College, from 2013 to 2015. 6 years old. I also had a bachelor's degree from Portland State University, earned in 2017. But that wasn't in his hand. "I want to show you something else," my father said, holding both documents up side by side. A contrast, if you will. "This," he held up Rebecca's Yale letter, "is what happens when you pursue excellence, and this," he held up my community college transcript, "is what happens when you give up before you start." The room went silent. The kind of silence that feels like physical pressure. "Helen," he said, finally addressing me directly. "Tell everyone, what was your plan after this? What greatness were you chasing?" I could have said, "I got my bachelor's degree. I'm working in marketing. I applied to master's programs. I'm building something real." But I knew it wouldn't matter. He'd already decided what story he was telling. I was the cautionary tale. Rebecca was the triumph. The script was written. I didn't answer. "Associate in Arts," he read from my transcript, voice dripping with disappointment. 2 years, Portland Community College. He turned to face me fully. "You know what hurts me most? You had potential. But you chose the path of least resistance. You chose comfort over challenge. And now, look at the difference." Cousin Jeremy was staring at his plate. Aunt Patricia had tears in her eyes. Whether for me or from secondhand embarrassment, I couldn't tell. My mother half rose from her seat. "Christopher," she said softly, "maybe we should—" "Let her go," my father said, waving her off. "She can't even sit through a family dinner when the conversation isn't about her." But I was already standing. I set my wine glass down on the side table very carefully, very precisely. My hands weren't shaking. That surprised me. I walked to the coat rack, pulled on my jacket, and headed for the door. My father's voice followed me. "This is what failure looks like, unable to even face what she is." I opened the door. Snow had started falling while we'd been inside, thick and quiet. The cold hit my face like clarity. Through the window, I could see my father still talking, gesturing with those laminated documents. Rebecca was still frozen on the sofa. Some relatives were looking at the door. Others were looking away. As I walked to my car, I caught Rebecca's eyes through the window. Just for a second. She was crying. But she didn't move, didn't follow, didn't defend me. I drove for exactly 1 mile before I had to pull over. Not because I was crying. I wasn't. Because I needed to sit in the silence and understand what had just happened. My phone started buzzing. Mom, Aunt Patricia, Cousin Jeremy. I turned it off. I sat in my car in a grocery store parking lot, watching snow accumulate on the windshield, and thought, I'm done. Not angry done, not I'll show them done, just done. The kind of done where you finally stop waiting for people to see you clearly and decide to disappear instead. I went home that night and didn't open any of the Christmas presents I'd brought back from my parents' house months earlier. They sat in a corner of my apartment, wrapped and untouched, like artifacts from someone else's life. Christmas Day, I sat with my laptop and researched how to disappear. Not dramatically. I wasn't running from the law or anything cinematic. Just how to cleanly extract yourself from a family that has decided you're the failure in their narrative. Change phone number. Possible. Block on all social media. Easy. Move to different city. My lease ended in February. Cut contact completely. Doable. I made lists. What I owned versus what I needed. Where I could go. Portland, Oregon kept appearing in my job searches. Tech companies, marketing firms, decent cost of living. Far enough from the East Coast that surprise visits would be impossible. My phone was still off. When I finally turned it on December 26th, I had 23 messages. Most from Mom. 3 from Rebecca. 1 from a cousin asking if I was okay. Rebecca's messages said variations of the same thing. I'm sorry. Please call me. Dad made me do it. I didn't know he was going to. Please. I read them. Deleted them. Didn't respond. The week between Christmas and New Year's, I gave notice at my marketing job. Told my landlord I wouldn't be renewing my lease. Applied to positions in Portland, Austin, Seattle, anywhere that wasn't here. I acted completely normal at work. Smiled at the coffee machine. Talked about New Year's plans like I had them. My mother kept calling. I sent her one text. I'm okay. Need space. She responded with paragraphs. Explanations. Your father was trying to motivate you. He loves you. Family is complicated. Please come to New Year's dinner. I didn't answer. December 30th, Rebecca called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered by accident. Thought it might be a job callback. Helen? Please. I need to. I hung up. Blocked that number too. New Year's Eve, I wrote one final text to my mother. I waited until 11:59 p.m., watched the countdown on TV, and hit send exactly at midnight as fireworks started outside my window. I love you, but I can't be part of this family anymore. What Dad did wasn't about education or excellence. It was cruelty. You watched it happen. I'll be okay. Don't look for me. H. Message delivered. I powered down my old phone, removed the SIM card, broke it in half with scissors, and dropped the pieces in the trash. My new phone sat on the table, completely blank. No contacts, no history, no family. I opened my email one last time before closing that account too. Rebecca's email from Christmas night was still there, unread. Subject line, please let me explain. The preview showed the first line. You don't understand what really happened with... My finger hovered over the delete button. Then I closed the laptop without reading it. I didn't need to understand. I needed to leave. Outside, people were celebrating. Fireworks. Cheering. The world turning over into 2020, full of promise and possibility. I packed my first box. 36 days until I could start over. I landed in Portland, Oregon on February 1st, 2020, with 2 suitcases, 1 box of books, and $2,847 in my bank account. I'd found a studio apartment online, $1,150 a month, which was more than I wanted to spend but less than East Coast prices. The place was small, but had good light. I got a job within 2 weeks. Content coordinator at an education technology startup, $42,000 a year. Not impressive by Silicon Valley standards, but it was mine. No family connections, no nepotism, just my resume and a decent interview. Then the pandemic hit. March 2020, the world shut down. Most people's lives fell apart. Mine didn't. My company pivoted to remote learning platforms, and suddenly, we were drowning in demand. I worked 60-hour weeks from my studio apartment, laptop on my kitchen table, mattress still on the floor because I hadn't had time to buy a bed frame, but I was good at it. The work, I mean. Building content strategies, managing crisis communications, coordinating product launches under impossible timelines. While other people on my team cracked under pressure, I thrived. Maybe because I'd had practice starting from nothing. By April 2020, my boss, This exhausted woman named Jennifer, who was trying to run a company through Zoom while homeschooling 2 kids, pulled me into a video call. "I don't know how you're managing this workload," she said. "Everyone else is drowning." "I've had practice starting over from nothing," I said. She promoted me to marketing manager in June 2021, $67,000 a year. I also did something else in 2020. Something I'd been thinking about since Christmas Eve. I enrolled in an online bachelor's degree completion program at Portland State University. I already had my associate degree from community college and my bachelor's from the same school, but I wanted to prove something to myself, that I could keep building. That education wasn't about where you started, but where you decided to go. Wait, I need to be clear about something because the timeline matters. I'd gotten my bachelor's degree back in 2017, 2 years before that Christmas. Portland State University, Bachelor of Arts. I'd worked my ass off for it, transferring credits from community college, taking extra courses, graduating in 2 years instead of the typical 2 more after an associate degree. My father didn't attend my graduation, didn't acknowledge it, didn't frame that diploma. When he held up that community college transcript on Christmas Eve 2019, he deliberately chose a 6-year-old document. He ignored the bachelor's degree I'd earned, because it didn't fit his narrative. That's the detail I need you to understand. He didn't compare me to Rebecca Fairley. He compared my ancient community college transcript to her Yale acceptance letter. He erased 2 years of my achievements to make his point. Anyway, in Portland, I kept building. My job was demanding, but stable. I had no social life, by choice. Every evening was the same. Work, online classes, sleep, repeat. But I was building something he couldn't touch. I completed my master's degree in education policy in 2023. Online, from a state university, while working full-time. Not Yale, not Ivy League, but real. Every credit, every late night, every A. I walked across the stage alone. No family in the audience. I took my own graduation photo on a timer. That diploma hangs in my apartment. No lamination. Just real. In 2023, I made a lateral career move that changed everything. A small liberal arts college in Portland was hiring for their student affairs office. The job description could have been written about me, supporting non-traditional students, first-generation college students, people taking alternative pathways. I got the job, and I was exceptional at it. I created programs for students like me, community college transfers, adult learners, people who didn't fit the traditional 4-year straight-from-high-school model. Retention rates in my programs jumped 34% in the first year. A student came to my office once crying. "My parents say I'm wasting time starting at community college," she said. "Do you want to hear what my father said about my community college degree?" I asked. "What?" "It doesn't matter, because I'm here now, and I didn't need his permission." She stopped crying. By 2024, I was Assistant Dean of Student Affairs. By early 2025, Associate Dean. Salary, $89,000. I also started a part-time PhD program focusing on alternative pathways in higher education. Then something happened that I didn't expect. I won a national award for innovative retention programming. Got invited to speak at conferences. Someone at Forbes saw my work and asked if I wanted to submit for their 30 under 30 education list. I did. I got in. January 2025, my face was on the Forbes website under Education Innovators. The article said, "Helen Winfrey, 29, is redefining what success looks like in higher education by proving that community college isn't a consolation prize, it's a strategic choice." I printed that article, didn't frame it, just left it on my desk where I could see it. In October 2025, I gave a keynote speech at a national conference. 200 education professionals in the audience. I said, "They told me community college was failure. I'm here to tell you it was freedom. Freedom to learn on my terms, fail without judgment, and build a foundation that was actually mine. Standing ovation. After the conference, my old community college mentor, the professor who'd encouraged me to transfer to Portland State, sent me a message. I always knew you were extraordinary. Proud of you. I cried reading that. First time I'd cried about any of this in years. But I also got a LinkedIn message that week that made my hands shake. From a distant cousin, someone with the last name Winfrey, but not immediate family. Saw you on the Forbes list. Proud of you. Your family's been looking for you. Should I tell them? I stared at that message for 3 days, then I responded. No. February 2026. I was 30 years old, 5 days from turning 31. My life had become something I could be proud of. I had friends, real ones. Claire, a nurse who worked nights and stopped by my place with coffee on her way home from shifts. Marcus, the barista at my regular coffee shop who knew my order by heart. Jordan, someone I'd been seeing for about 8 months, slowly and carefully, because I was still learning how to let people in. I had my work, my students, my research. I'd built a life my father said was impossible. On February 21st, 2026, I walked into my office building at 8:15 a.m., coffee in one hand, messenger bag in the other. Jerry, the security guard, waved me through. Good morning, Dr. Winfrey. Got a visitor waiting for you. Said she's family. I stopped. Family? Your sister, she said. Been here since 7:30. I told her she could wait in the lobby, but she wanted to stand outside. She looks pretty upset. My heart rate picked up, but my voice stayed steady. Thanks, Jerry. I walked outside and saw her, Rebecca, standing 20 feet away, wearing a coat I recognized from years ago, from before. She looked different, thinner, older, exhausted. She was holding a folder. I stopped walking. She looked up, saw me, and something in her face just broke. Helen, she said, voice cracking. What are you doing here? I kept my voice neutral, not hostile, not warm, just guarded. She held up the folder. Her hands were shaking so hard the papers rattled. I need to show you something, she said. About Yale, about why I'm here, about what Dad did to both of us. The world tilted slightly. What? I said. Can we go inside, please? I've been looking for you for a month. I flew from DC. She opened the folder slightly. I could see papers inside. Documents. I have proof. I should have said no. Should have walked away right then. But something in her face stopped me. This wasn't the Rebecca from Christmas 2019, frozen and complicit on the sofa. This was someone who looked like she'd been carrying something heavy for a very long time and couldn't hold it anymore. 5 minutes, I said. Then I'm calling security. We went inside. My office was on the 3rd floor. We took the elevator in silence. Rebecca stared at the floor. I watched the numbers climb. When we got to my office, I unlocked the door, gestured her inside, and closed it behind us. Locked it, turned to face her. My office was warm, books everywhere, plants thriving on the windowsill. Student thank you notes pinned to a board. My degrees on the wall. Community college, bachelor's, master's. Forbes article in a frame someone had given me. Awards. Evidence of a life built. Rebecca looked around like she was seeing something impossible. You have to give me more than 5 minutes, she said. Please. You have 5 minutes, I repeated. Then you leave. You got into Yale. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? Spring 2018, you got accepted. Full scholarship. Dad intercepted the letter. Forged your signature to decline. Gave your acceptance to me. I stood very still. That's not possible. Rebecca pulled documents from the folder with shaking hands, set them on my desk. 2 letters, side by side, both Yale School of Public Policy acceptances, both dated March 15th, 2018. One addressed to Helen Winfrey, one addressed to Rebecca Winfrey. My hand reached out slowly, touched my name on the paper. March 2018, Rebecca said, voice rushing now. We both applied to their master's program after finishing our bachelor's degrees. You got in. I got waitlisted. Dad. He intercepted your letter from the mailbox. He has emails. He planned it. He forged your signature on the decline form. He manipulated the documents. He gave my name to your acceptance. I picked up the letter with my name on it. Read it. Dear Ms. Helen Winfrey, it is with great pleasure that we offer you admission to the Yale School of Public Policy, Master of Public Policy Program, Class of 2020. We are pleased to award you the Dean's Merit Scholarship, covering full tuition for both years of study. Full tuition. Merit Scholarship. My vision blurred. Where did you get this? My voice didn't sound like mine. His office, locked drawer. Last month, I was helping him move and I found, Helen, there are 47 emails. He documented everything. He thought he was creating insurance to prove he did it for the right reasons. He kept both letters. He kept everything. She pulled out more papers, email printouts, Dad's handwriting on notes, portal screenshots, a timeline. I sat down heavily in my desk chair. Full scholarship, I said quietly. I would have gone for free. I know. He paid $160,000 for my degree over 2 years, the degree you earned a scholarship for. I looked up at her. You knew? All these years? No. Rebecca's voice cracked. I didn't know. I swear to God, Helen, I didn't know until January. I've spent 8 years with imposter syndrome thinking something was wrong, feeling like I didn't belong at Yale, but I didn't know why. I didn't know it was because I was literally living your life. She pulled out something else. A clear plastic sleeve containing torn pieces of paper. What is that? I asked. My Yale diploma. I ripped it when I found out. It's yours. It was always supposed to be yours. I took the sleeve. Looked at the torn pieces. Rebecca Winfrey, Master of Public Policy. I destroyed it, she whispered. Because it's not mine. Every credit I earned there was built on theft. I set down the torn diploma, picked up an email printout, read it. My father's words. Helen would have squandered this opportunity. Rebecca deserves it more. She'll use it properly. I read it again. Then I read another email, and another. 47 minutes passed. We went through every single piece of evidence. Rebecca answered every question I asked with precision. Portal access logs showing Dad's IP address. Forged signature compared to my real signature. Wire transfer receipts. At one point I stood up so fast my chair hit the wall, paced to the window, put my hands in my hair. Do you understand what he took? My voice was shaking now. Not just Yale, everything. That Christmas, when he held up my community college transcript and compared it to your Yale letter, he was comparing me to myself, to my own acceptance that he stole and gave to you. The humiliation wasn't about community college. It was about erasing me and replacing me with you. I know, Rebecca said. I know, and I'm so... You don't know? I turned on her. You got to be the success. Even now, even knowing it was stolen, you got 8 years of being the chosen one. And 8 years of drowning. Rebecca stood too. 8 years of panic attacks and anxiety medication and feeling like a fraud and not knowing why. I was living your stolen life and it was destroying me from the inside. We stared at each other. Then I slammed my fist on the desk. Left a dent in the wood. Coffee cup jumped and spilled. Someone knocked on the door. Dr. Winfrey, everything okay? I'm fine, I said. My voice was not fine. Rebecca and I stood there in silence while coffee spread across my desk. She looked at my hands. You're shaking. Yeah. I'm sorry, she whispered. Helen, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. But I benefited anyway. I lived 8 years as the golden child while you were exiled for being the failure. And the worst part is, you were never the failure. You earned it. All of it. The acceptance, the scholarship, the success. And he took it and gave it to me like I was more deserving. I sat down. Everything in me felt hollow. Why are you here? I asked finally. Why tell me this now? Because you deserve to know the truth. And because I need to know if there's any way to make this right. There isn't. Then I need to help you report it. I have evidence. I'll testify. If it means losing my Yale degree, fine. It should have been yours anyway. I looked at her. Really looked at her. This wasn't the sister I remembered. This was someone who'd made a choice. What do you want from me? I asked. Nothing. I don't want anything except for you to know the truth. Bullshit. Nobody shows up after 6 years with a bomb like this and wants nothing. Rebecca's face crumpled. Fine. I want my sister back. I want the person I was supposed to grow up beside instead of growing up competing with. I want 6 years of silence to end. But I know that's not your job to give me. No, I said quietly. It's not. So I'll settle for you knowing the truth. And you deciding what to do with it. If reporting Dad means I lose everything, I'll accept that. Because this, she gestured at the evidence spread across my desk. This is worse than losing a degree. This is knowing I was a weapon used against my own sister. I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at Portland in February. I need time, I said finally. I need to process this. You can't just explode my past and expect an immediate response. I know. Thank you for listening. I turned. Did I have a choice? Yes. You could have called security in minute 1. Fair point. She gathered the papers, started to put them back in the folder. Wait, I said. The diploma, the torn pieces. It's yours. I don't want it. You did the work there, fraud or not. Then what do we do with it? I stared at the torn pieces of paper. Leave it. I don't know yet. Rebecca stood at my door. Helen. I looked up. For what it's worth, she said. Everything I saw this week watching you. Your students who love you, your colleagues who respect you, this office, your achievements. You built something Dad said was impossible. You won anyway. It shouldn't have been a competition, I said. No, she agreed. It shouldn't have been. But you were always the stronger one. I just wish I'd been brave enough to tell you that before he made us hate each other. She left. I stood alone in my office with evidence of a stolen life spread across my floor, torn diploma pieces in the center. My phone rang, a student with an appointment. I sent it to voicemail. First time in 6 years I'd missed a student meeting. I just sat on the floor and stared at my name on an acceptance letter I'd never seen. Full tuition merit scholarship, Yale School of Public Policy, class of 2020. The acceptance that was mine. I didn't go home that night until past 11. I gathered every piece of evidence Rebecca had left, put it in order, and took it all to my apartment. Spread it across my dining table. Started reading. Email number 1, March 12th, 2018. Yale to Christopher Winfrey. Care of Helen Winfrey. Congratulations, your daughter has been accepted. Email number 7, March 13th, 2018. Dad to himself. Problem: Helen accepted. Rebecca waitlisted. Solution: adjust narrative. Email number 15, March 14th, 2018. Dad to Yale, IT support. Posing as concerned father. My daughter Helen may have account access issues. Email number 23, March 18th, 2018. Dad to unnamed contact. I need a PDF modified for family record purposes. Email number 31, March 19th, 2018. Decline form submitted under Helen's portal access. She'll never know she was accepted. Email number 47, March 23rd, 2018. Dad to himself. Subject, insurance. Keep original acceptance letter as proof I did this for the right reasons. I read them all. Every single one. Then I called someone I'd met years ago through my community college mentor. Terry Morrison, an education law attorney who specialized in exactly this kind of case. It was 11:47 p.m. I emailed, need consultation graduate admissions fraud, victim, not perpetrator. Can you call tomorrow? Response came back at 11:52 p.m. My office, 9 a.m., no charge. Terry Morrison's office was exactly what you'd expect from an attorney who'd fought her way through night law school while working full-time. Walls covered in framed case victories, most involving students from marginalized backgrounds. She was 60-something, sharp-eyed, and took no bullshit. She reviewed my evidence in silence for 45 minutes. I sat across from her desk and watched her face give nothing away. Finally, this is textbook fraud, identity theft, forgery, academic misconduct. The statute of limitations is complicated, but we can make a case. What are my options? What do you want? Criminal charges? Civil suit? Institutional accountability? I thought about that. I want him to face consequences, not for revenge, for truth. Those aren't mutually exclusive, but you need to be clear. This will be public. Your name will be attached. Your sister's name. The fraud will be news. My sister already tore up her diploma. She's ready. Terry leaned back in her chair. Your father is tenured faculty at Columbia. If this goes public, his career ends. Possibly criminal charges. Your sister's Yale degree might be retroactively revoked. Are you prepared for that fallout? I didn't hesitate. Yes. Then let's build the case. We spent the next 3 days organizing everything into formal complaint packages. Terry drafted the language, I filled in details. Rebecca came back to Portland and worked with us, adding her own evidence. Her recorded phone conversation with Dad, where he admitted to everything. 3 separate filings. 1. Yale University Office of Admissions Integrity. Requesting investigation into fraudulent admission, document forgery, and violation of admissions policies. 2. Columbia University Office of Faculty Affairs, reporting faculty misconduct, abuse of institutional trust, identity theft involving students. 3. District Attorney's Office, potential criminal fraud charges. Terry said this was a long shot, but worth filing. By February 24th, the case was ready. That was also the day I called my mother for the first time in 6 years. I'd kept her number blocked all this time, unblocked it, dialed. She answered on the first ring. Helen? Her voice broke around my name. Long silence. I need to ask you something about Christmas 2019, I said. Anything? Did you know? About Yale? The pause told me everything. Not then, she said finally. I found out in 2021. I found emails when your father and I were separating. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't know how to find you. I didn't try hard enough. I was a coward. You've been saying I should have my whole life, Mom. It never changed anything. You're right. I'm sorry. Did you know what he was planning that Christmas? The public humiliation? He told me he wanted to celebrate Rebecca's achievement. I didn't know it would be that. I should have stopped it. There it is again. Should have. Silence on her end. Rebecca said she found you, Mom said carefully. That she told you everything. What are you going to do? What I should have done years ago. Stop protecting him by staying silent. He'll lose everything. He stole everything from me first. Mom was quiet for a long moment. Then, I know. Do what you need to do. I'll back you up this time, I promise. I almost laughed. A little late for promises, Mom. I know that too. I hung up. February 28th, 2026. Terry sent 3 certified letters. To Yale University Office of Admissions Integrity. Fraudulent admission. Rebecca Winfrey, Class of 2020. To Columbia University Office of Faculty Affairs. Ethics violation. Professor Christopher Winfrey. To District Attorney. Academic fraud investigation. Rebecca and I sat in Terry's office and watched her seal the envelopes. No going back now, Rebecca said. We should have done this 8 years ago, I said. You didn't know 8 years ago. But you benefited 8 years ago. And I'm paying for it now. We both are. I reached across the table, put my hand on Rebecca's. First physical contact in 6 years. Together? I asked. She was crying. Together. Things moved faster than I expected. March 3rd. Yale sent official acknowledgement. Complaint received. Matter under review by Office of Admissions Integrity. March 5th. Columbia received their complaint. Similar response. March 6th. My father called Rebecca 14 times. She didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Whatever you think you're doing, stop. You're destroying this family. Call me. Rebecca sent me the recording. I listened once. Deleted it. March 7th. Dad showed up at my college. Jerry called me from the front desk. Dr. Winfrey, there's a man here demanding to see you. Says he's your father. Should I? I'll come down. I found him in the lobby. First time seeing him in 6 years. He looked older. Smaller somehow. Or maybe I'd just gotten bigger. Helen, he said. We need to talk about this misunderstanding. Students were watching. Faculty members pausing in the hallway. There's no misunderstanding, I said clearly. You committed fraud, multiple felonies. We have evidence. Evidence you got by breaking into my private files. Rebecca had permission to clean your office. She found documents you should have destroyed. That's on you. You're doing this for revenge. After everything I gave you? You gave me shame, I said. My voice carried across the lobby. I wanted it to. You stole my acceptance and gave it to Rebecca to use as a weapon against me. Now we're taking it back. Jerry stepped forward. Sir, you need to leave. Dad ignored him, looked at me. You were always the vindictive one. This is why you never belonged at Yale. I smiled. Couldn't help it. I did belong at Yale. They accepted me. Full scholarship. You erased it. That's literally the point. Sir. Jerry was physically between us now. I need you to leave. Now. As security escorted him out, Dad shouted back. You'll regret this, both of you. I called after him, loud enough for the entire lobby to hear. The only thing I regret is not knowing the truth sooner. A student next to me whispered, Dr. Winfrey, are you okay? Yes, I said. For the first time in a long time, I really am. March 9th. Columbia University placed my father on immediate administrative leave pending full investigation. His classes were reassigned. He lost access to campus. I got an email from Columbia's investigator. Dr. Winfrey, we are investigating allegations against Professor Christopher Winfrey. As the alleged victim, we request your cooperation with interview process. We take academic integrity seriously. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. I printed that email, added it to my growing folder labeled Receipts. March 11th, Yale sent a letter to Rebecca, copied to me and Terry. After preliminary investigation, we find sufficient evidence of admissions fraud. Your 2018 admission is retroactively invalidated. Master's degree conferred. May 2020 is under review for revocation pending full investigation. You have 30 days to respond. Rebecca forwarded it to me with one line. It's done. I called her. How do you feel? Lighter, terrified, free. I don't know. You? Vindicated and sad. We should have been there together. Legitimately. Would you have gone? If you'd gotten the letter in 2018? I thought about that. I don't know. Maybe not. I was happy with my choice. That's what makes this worse, Rebecca said quietly. Dad didn't just steal your acceptance. He stole your choice. March 12th. The Chronicle of Higher Education published their article. Columbia professor accused of stealing daughter's Yale acceptance, giving to twin sister. The story went viral in academic circles within hours. Then mainstream media picked it up. My phone exploded with messages. Reporters, former colleagues, students, strangers. One message stood out. From my old community college mentor. I always knew you were extraordinary. I'm sorry it took this for the world to see it. Proud of you. I cried reading that. March 14th. Dad's lawyer sent Terry an email proposing settlement. Confidential. No admission of wrongdoing. Substantial financial compensation. NDA is required. Terry forwarded it to us. My response. Tell him no. This ends publicly or not at all. The institutional reckonings were slow but thorough. Columbia issued a statement. Professor Winfrey has been suspended without pay, pending completion of ethics investigation. We take allegations of academic fraud with utmost seriousness. Yale issued theirs. We have invalidated the 2018 admission in question and are reviewing degree status. We have also strengthened our verification protocols to prevent similar fraud. The comment sections exploded. Some people supported us. Some called us vindictive. Some said Rebecca was as much a victim as I was. Some blamed us both for destroying our father. I stopped reading comments after the first day. March 15th, 2026. My 31st birthday. I spent it in meetings with Terry, answering questions from Columbia's investigators, and trying to maintain some semblance of normal work. That evening, Jordan came over with takeout and a small cake. Happy birthday, they said. How does it feel to be 31 and have your face all over academic news? Surreal, I admitted. Also kind of satisfying. You okay? I think so. It's weird. 6 years ago, I walked out thinking I'd never see my family again. Now I'm here. And they're the ones losing everything. Is that what you wanted? I thought about it. I wanted the truth. I wanted him to face consequences. I got both. But it doesn't bring back the 6 years he stole. It just stops him from stealing anyone else's. Jordan kissed my forehead. You're allowed to feel complicated about it. Thanks for the permission, I said, but I was smiling. March 20th. My mother's 62nd birthday. I'd agreed to see her. Not in New York. I wouldn't go back there. She flew to Portland instead. Rebecca met her at the airport, brought her to my apartment. When Mom walked in, she looked older than I remembered. Smaller. Or maybe I'd just gotten bigger here too. She tried to hug me. I let her, but I didn't hug back. We sat at my dining table, the same table where I'd spread out all the evidence weeks ago. I'm sorry, Mom said immediately, for all of it. For not stopping him, for not protecting you, for not trying harder to find you. Okay, I said. I filed for divorce, last month. It'll be final in August. Okay. Helen, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. You're right. You don't. Mom flinched. Rebecca looked uncomfortable. I continued. But I'm here. That's a start. I can't promise anything else. We spent the evening looking through old photos Mom had brought. Pictures of Rebecca and me as kids, before Dad turned us into competitors. We were identical smiles, arms around each other, genuinely happy. You used to be best friends, Mom said. We were, Rebecca said quietly. Can you be again? Mom asked. I looked at my twin sister. I don't know. We're different people now. But maybe we can build something new. Rebecca nodded. It wasn't a happy ending, but it was honest. March 28th, 2026. Late March evening, unseasonably warm for Portland. My apartment was full of people. Claire was there, the nurse who'd become one of my closest friends over the past few years. Jordan was cooking in my kitchen. Marcus from the coffee shop had stopped by with pastries. Terry Morrison came for an hour with updates on the case. Columbia's investigation was ongoing. Dad's termination looked likely by summer. And Rebecca was there. She'd been staying in Portland for the past month, sorting out her life after Yale invalidated her degree. She'd applied to Portland Community College for fall term. Was working part-time at a cafe while figuring out next steps. Starting over at 31, she'd said last week, following in my sister's footsteps. Better late than never, I'd replied. Mom had come back for the weekend too. Third visit in 5 weeks. She was trying. It wasn't enough to erase 6 years, but it was something. We gathered around my table for dinner. Chosen family and blood family mixed together, which felt strange and right at the same time. Rebecca raised her glass. To starting over, to truth, to Helen, who showed me what real strength looks like. To Helen, everyone echoed. I caught Rebecca's eye across the table, small nod, not healed completely, but healing. Outside, Portland's spring rain started falling, soft, gentle, the kind of rain that makes everything grow. My phone buzzed. Text from a former student. Saw you in the news, Dr. Winfrey. Just wanted to say you've always been the bravest person I know. Thank you for showing us what integrity looks like. I set my phone down and looked around my apartment. At the people who chose to be here. At the sister who chose truth over comfort. At the life I'd built when they said I was a failure. My father was losing everything. His job, his reputation, probably his freedom. But I'd already won. Not by destroying him. By building something he couldn't touch. By being so undeniably successful that his narrative about me collapsed under the weight of reality. Community college wasn't failure, it was foundation. Yale wasn't success. It was a stolen credential built on lies. Real achievement is what you build when no one's watching. When you have no choice but to prove yourself. When the only approval you need is your own. I learned that the hard way. They said I was the failure. The daughter who chose comfort over excellence. Who gave up before she started. Who didn't belong at the table with the successful people. Turns out I was just the first one brave enough to leave. And in leaving, I found something they never had. Freedom. Freedom to define success on my own terms. To build a life that was mine, not performed for someone else's approval. To choose my family instead of being trapped by the one I was born into. My father stole my Yale acceptance letter, but he couldn't steal what I built after I walked out of that Christmas dinner. He couldn't steal my bachelor's degree, earned 1 credit at a time while everyone said community college was a dead end. He couldn't steal my master's degree, completed at night while working full-time. He couldn't steal my career, built student by student, program by program, proving that alternative pathways aren't second class. They're just different. He couldn't steal my dignity. That was always mine. I just had to learn how to claim it. 6 years ago, I walked out into the snow and changed my number. Last month, my sister brought me the truth wrapped in torn diploma pieces and 47 emails. Today, I'm associate dean at a college that values what I do, not where I came from. I'm a PhD student researching the exact pathways my father said were worthless. I'm on Forbes lists and conference stages and in Chronicle articles, Not because someone gave me a stolen acceptance letter, but because I earned every single step. And my father? He's losing everything he valued: position, reputation, authority, control. But I learned something important through all of this. Revenge isn't about destroying someone else. It's about building yourself so completely that their opinion becomes irrelevant. I didn't need to tear down my father. I just needed to exist loudly enough that everyone could see he was wrong. And now they do. My name is Helen Winfrey. I'm 31 years old. 6 years ago, my father called me a failure in front of 22 people and expected me to shrink. Instead, I left. I built. I won. Not on his terms, on mine. And that's the victory that actually matters.